Hey, my name is Sean. Welcome to Echoes in Eternity Bourbon. Have you ever just had this craving for a peanut butter and scrambled egg sandwich at about 1 a.m.?
I am a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
So let me rewind back a little bit and explain the peanut butter and scrambled egg sandwich. So, you may know I went on a trip with my wife. It was an anniversary trip. We spent time in Clarksville, shot down to Nashville, went over to Bardstown, went to the Heaven Hill Distillery, hunted some different bourbons. My wife and I did a wine tour. That was one of the things she really wanted to do, and just hung out and had a really nice, relaxing weekend. Our son was with some great friends of ours, the Brohams, and he had a great weekend hanging out with them. So thank you very much for that. So it was a great weekend. But when I'm doing those type of things, I'm not able to really drink a whole lot. My wife, due to some medical conditions, really can't drive long distances or at night. So, when we do things, I have to do it, make sure that, I'm the one that's going to be driving. I have to take care of things, let her unwind, have some fun. So I hadn't really had an opportunity to unwind until last night a little bit. So there was some randomness going on last night in the Discord. Matt was like, "Hey, do you think we should go live?" And I'm like, "You know what? That sounds great. I'd love to have a beverage with Matt and RJ and all the people. Adam joined last night. There were so many people. Myron joined last night. Baker Drinks joined last night. There were so many people that were popping in and out of there. But we were sitting around and had beverages for a while. And so Rusty, Professor Rusty over there, Lugnuts, he starts talking about, we get into the subject of, unusual foods or favorite sides at the holidays, and mad about pukes when I tell him I love a good oyster dressing. He's not an oyster fan. But we go over some of the underrated sides and things like that. And then somehow it gets into unusual food combinations. And Rusty's like, "Yeah, one of my favorite things to eat, you guys look at this crazy, is a scrambled egg sandwich on with peanut butter bread. Have peanut butter and scrambled egg sandwich." And so, as the course of the night had gone on, prior to getting to that, I'd had an old Forester single barrel at 131 proof. I've had they got into some Starlight, how they weren't fans of Starlight, and I'm like, "Look, I like this really good cigar batch." And we started talking about Rio Penelope, and we're like, "Well, I've got an Amburana finish up here of the Starlight, for the cigar batch, and I've got the honey cask." And then, I think it was Troy was like, "Hey, you ought to combine them and see what you think of it." And so we sat there, and I'm combining them, and I'm like, "Man, this is actually really, really good." And so then Matt's like, "Sean, let's do something. Let's blend something." So we sit there, and he probably said it was a half an hour. It's probably 10-15 minutes. We're trying to find things that we have the exact same of, because I've got a lot of my stuff in the basement right now. I'm moving a lot of stuff towards the basement to kind of set that up for the new studio. And he's like, took, in his words, a half an hour. And I haven't re-seen the video. He probably was too tired last night to redo the video. But we ended up with King of Georgia and Georgia Heartwood. And it was phenomenal. I was like, "Wow." And even Matt, we both just looked at each other for a minute. We were like, "Wow." And I'm like, it was phenomenal. So that blend right there, we really, really liked. And, you got to figure by that time, I've had 5, 6 good pours. I'm feeling really good. And then Rusty brings in the peanut butter scrambled egg sandwich. So if you get if Matt posts this live, there'll be a point in there where I'm actually moving to the kitchen and making the sandwich. And it turned out it was very good. I toasted the bread, put some peanut butter on there, put the scrambled eggs on there, um, and I was thoroughly impressed. So that was the interesting portion of my night. And then we stayed on for a little bit longer. I was pretty tired. I had driven that day all the way from Clarksville back to my home in Phoenix City, Alabama. So you had to go through Nashville, through Atlanta, a lot of heavy traffic, a lot of people traveling. and had a few pours, had a sandwich. I was pretty tired, and I was pretty much nodded out by that time. I was so tired, Matt had to like, hey, do you need me to cut you off the Zoom? I'm like, yeah. So it was a good time though. But got up early this morning and said, was that a dream? I'm like, nope. Pan is still out here from last night. I did make the scrambled egg sandwich, and it was pretty dang good. So I had fun with that. But I did want to share some of the bottles that I picked up. Now, full disclosure here, not all of the bottles will be shown because there's something that's in the works that I will show at a later date. And a lot of people that are some of the content creators know about it. It's nothing over. That's not like I'm getting a barrel and anything like that yet. But it's just a neat thing that the content creators have come up with, and I just have a little part in it, and I'm very excited about that. So won't share some of that or spoil any of that. So cool stuff there. But like I said, we did get to Heaven Hill, had a very nice time there. My wife, which really surprised me, she's not a bourbon fan, had all four of the expressions at the Heaven Hill. We did the tour where you get to pick your own bottle at the end if you want to bottle one and purchase it there. But we'll get into that. But let me share some of the things that I was able to get while I was on the trip. Like I said, had a great time. This first one has been something I've been looking for a while. This is Obtainium. And I happened to find it in Clarksville, Tennessee. This right here is a 26-year-old Canadian whiskey. And it is coming in at if you can see this, it's got the little hazmat sticker on there. It's coming in at a staggering 77.8% alcohol by volume there. So by volume. So this right here is running at about 155.6 proof. And I know we had the discussion last night with RJ. Is it proof whore, proof hound? I prefer proof hound. So, but this is something I've been looking forward to getting. And it's just, I don't know if I like to punish myself on things, but I'm looking forward to it. And I think this will be a lot of fun in the future. I have some ideas for this in the future. I talked about that a little bit in the live last night on Matt. So fantastic on that. Looking forward to that. So we get that one. I got that one out there. And I was like I said, I was pleasantly surprised to see it there. It set you back a little bit. I mean, it was a C note. I mean, it was $107. But I think for the neat factor of having it, I was more than willing. And if it's just like lighter fluid garbage, that's fine. I'll still find a way to have fun with it. So looking forward to that. The next bottle, this is one that kind of got me into the blends last night that we were creating. And so this is Elements, and this is an Amburana finish, but it's also a honey cask. So it's like a Penelope Rio. Now, I haven't tried this yet. I've had some Penelope Rio, really enjoy it. I've heard a lot of good thing about this Elements right here with the honey finish and the Amburana cask. So I'll definitely be digging into this. I've got some very nice ideas with this as well. So looking forward to that. I may even do a blend for a comparison with so maybe I'll do a Starlight blend, do the Elements, and maybe have a Rio and do a comparison, a blind on those to see which one I like the best. But I like Elements. I've had some of their stuff in the past. MGP Juice, they do a really, really good time, and they're a lot less expensive. Well, I say a lot, but they're about $50 less expensive than a Rio if you can find a Rio at MSRP. So I'm interested to see how this pour is. Have you ever had a day when Richard just keeps messing with you? So for those that don't know, Richard is my camera ghost. He likes to mess with me. He'll let me get halfway through a video, sometimes 2 minutes into a video, and then he'll cut it off. And it's like, wow, what happened? So this is the third take on this. Half of the video recorded. I'm going through the second half of this, and I'm like, okay, let's get into the rest of the bottles that I got. But before that, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you very, very much for watching the video. You like, comment, and subscribe. That does a lot, and it helps the channel grow, and it helps me hopefully get to meet new amazing people, because you guys are fantastic, and I love the comments. I try to reply to every single one of them because I think your time is valuable. And if you've invested the time to watch this video and comment on something, I should at least have the opportunity to say, hey, thank you, at least thank you back, or I appreciate that, or well, that's a great idea, or I hadn't thought about that. So you guys are fantastic that way. So looking forward to that. Also looking forward to the Patreon Black Friday drawing. If you're in that $5 or $15 range, you're automatically subscribed for that. I'm looking forward to that giveaway. I think it's going to be an exceptional thing, and that's for Patreons only. But there's a free Patreon thing too. So if you're just interested to see what I put out on Patreon or what we're doing on there, you can join and you'll get some of the same notifications. You may not be eligible for some of the drawings, but you can at least see, oh, this is what he does on his off time for some of the Patreons that do a lot for the channel. I appreciate y'all for that. Thank you so very, very much. So let me get into these last few bottles before Richard gets me again, because he has been on a tear today. One of these is kind of a guilty pleasure. I picked it up at the Heaven Hill Distillery, and it's the JTS Brown. This is a bottle and bond, plastic top, inexpensive bottle, but you don't see it in my area a lot. So when I saw it at Heaven Hill, I'm like, you know what? I don't get this in my area. Let me get this, and I'll have some fun with this later on some other videos, but it's just a neat moment. It talks about how it was distilled at Heaven Hills, bottle and bond, where it was in Louisville. So it's really, really neat. And for me, it's just kind of a geek moment, things that I don't get in this area, inexpensive. I wanted to get it. So got it. This next bottle, man, it's got some neat history behind it. So this is, oh, how about that? Messed that up, didn't I? I think I've talked about the elements already. I didn't talk about Casey Jones. So I guess because the multiple times I've had to pull the bottles down and start it all over, I left the Casey Jones up there and not the elements. So if you guys caught that ahead of time, you guys are on it. But Casey Jones, this is it's a double gold award winner. It's it's only 2 years. I think it's 2.9 years is what it has on here. It's 2.9 years old. It's 112 proof, but I've had a couple people say don't sleep on them. They're really good. And it was only $35. But there's a neat history behind it as well. In the lineage of the Jones family, Al Capone loved the moonshine that came out of these square pot stills over all the other moonshines. And it was either the grandfather or great grandfather had this great design where, when it was during Prohibition, you were doing moonshine. The most important thing was your still, your pot still. But a lot of them were awkward and round and things like that. So he designed a square pot still. So if you were ever in a rush to get your still down and get it moved out of there, the most important piece you could just grab and get it onto the back of your truck. It was designed to fit onto the back of a truck to get out of there. So it was engineered that way, which I think is outstanding. And so you've got also, and it turns out an amazing product at that time. So like I said, a lot of people were interested in having those stills. He went all over the South and created stills for different people because they wanted not only the award-winning part of his still for the flavor, but they also wanted the easy maneuverability of if you're in trouble, if lawmen's coming or other moonshiners are trying to get close to your stuff and you need to move it quick, you can move it quick. So looking to try this one out. Never had it before. Hadn't heard anything about it. But when I was there, people kept saying, need to try it, need to try it. And in the comments, someone said, I should have bought a second bottle. So I'm like, okay, this is now on my radar and I've got that one. So looking forward to that. Next one was one I've been looking forward to. And this is, Penelope. It's a 15-year Founders Reserve. And it is a American light whiskey. We talked about on the channel a few times that MGP had been planning to buy something for a while. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to buy, this company. You've researched it. You've thought about it. You've done your due diligence on it. I guarantee when Penelope said, MGP said, we're going to buy a company, they've been tucking away some of their great juice in the back for a while. And so they bought Penelope, and all of a sudden now we got this 15-year Founders coming out. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good. Terrence gave me a great suggestion. He was asking about some of the bottles, and I was telling him, he says, you got to put that up against the 15-year Master Pick, which is also another 15-year MGP juice. So I think I think that's going to be a great challenge there. So, going to put the Master Pick up against the Penelope 15 year. Both MGP juices. One's a light whiskey, one's not. But I'm interested to see what I get out of them, and looking forward to it. The last two bottles on the trip were just the neat part of my experience at Heaven Hill. My wife and I did the build your own bottle thing where you get 4 samples of what's available for you to bottle there that day. They typically only do 3: the Bernheim, the Larceny, and the Elijah Craig. And all of these come out of their Rick House Y, which is their award-winning Rick House. So you get the barrels that are coming out of there that, there's not the A, B, or C like they normally have that come out in January, May, and in the September. But these are ones that they pull out of this warehouse just for the people that are there. They also had a fourth option, which they normally don't have, which was a single malt. And it was about twice the price if you wanted it. But it was very good. But my wife and I preferred 2 different bottles over that. And so I'll get into them. The first one, my wife did. And so this is a Larceny. Like I said, it came from that Rick House Y. You get a brand new bottle. You actually wash it out in this thing that shoots the water up in it, then shoots air up in there to dry it out. You pull the lever to get your own spirit into there. You put the top on, you mash the top down, which is really cool. Then you put the little covering over it, and it's not covered in plastic, but you put your own little seal over it. You add your labels, you write in your stuff on the bottom that you want to have there, but you have to write down, the specific things, when it was bottled, what the proof is, and stuff like that on there. But then you can put some other cool things on there too. So my wife did this, and it was a lot of fun watching her do that. She's not a big bourbon fan, but she had a good time tasting the bourbons and actually doing the tour. And she said, I had fun, and for her to admit that she had fun on a bourbon tour, for me, that was great. It means that if you guys are going out there and you have spouses that maybe aren't really interested in it, they might be surprised what they learned. There's a lot of history behind it too. Like with Larceny, we learn about Fitzgerald, how he used to creep up into the Rick houses because he was a tax man that had to be there on site. But he'd sneak up in there, thief some of the bourbons out of the barrels, try them out, drink them, bring them to his buddies, bottle them off, sell them, all kinds of stuff, until he was finally caught and went to prison. Well, after he got out of prison, he says, I've got enough knowledge and experience. I'm going to open up my own distillery. And that's how Old Fitzgerald got started. So Larceny, the bottle that pays kind of homage to that. But after he got out of jail, he became his own distillery in Old Fitzgerald. So Old Fitz and things like that come from that. Real cool. And the one that I did, and people know I'm an Elijah Craig fanboy. I love some Elijah Craig. So it was really neat. It talked about, Elijah Craig and how he got started in Bourbon County and stuff like that. And how, getting barrels was hard. So, they'd send their moonshine down the river from Bourbon County, Kentucky, and it would head down that way. But what he would find is he was hard and harder to get barrels. So he would get pickle barrels or barrels that had fish in them or apples or whatever. And so instead of just wasting those barrels, he started charring the inside of the barrels and scrubbing them out and charring them again and scrubbing them out until he got to the point where you would not taste any of the other products that were in there. So then they put their moonshine in there and they'd send it down the river from, Bourbon County, Kentucky. And people really started enjoying that shine, which turned into, the darker color that you see because of the charred barrel on the inside that he was using just because he wanted to repurpose some barrels. So they would specifically ask for some of that Bourbon County, Bourbon County, wow, I'm losing my words today. But they would ask for some of the Bourbon County spirits up there, the moonshine up there. And so it was really neat how that got started. Also talked about Bernheim, who does the wheat whiskey, and how he had purchased like 14,000 acres for people in Kentucky to always have a preserve to go to have picnics, see wildlife and things like that. So there was a lot of neat history and stories behind it. And seeing that my wife enjoyed all 4 of her mini Glens, then did her own bottle, it was an amazing time. I know we're coming into Thanksgiving here in a couple of days. I am very fortunate in the fact that I have this whole week off, and I am also cognizant of the fact that not all of you have this time off. I'm very thankful that I have a job where I can take this vacation time at this time, but not everyone has that. And for those that don't, I hope and pray your work time is successful and goes fast. I hope your off time with your family, when you start to have that, it goes by slow. You enjoy all the company, the foods, the drinks, and the memories of old, and the memories that you're going to build new. But most importantly, thank you for everything you do. Cheers and God bless.